Hi, and welcome to Coffee Chats with Impact, the series where I have real conversations with resilient people who have overcome the odds to succeed. My name is Kim Tapau, and it's my heartfelt desire to bring you the real conversations that are going to uplift you, inspire you, and make you hungry to live a life that you deserve. My guest today is the amazing Bruce Ligaliga, and I'm so honored to have you here, so thank you. Hi.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
Look, I have so much awesome information about Bruce that I'm going to pull out my little trusted piece of paper because I don't want to miss any of the goodness. So, you know, Bruce is a beautiful young Pacific brother who is breaking down the barriers for men to show up for themselves and their families and their communities. I love this. He describes himself as finally not caring what others think of him. He believes that by helping others get what they want in life, it will actually change the quality of your own life. He's, you know what, I watch you every day and you are creating real impact in the world and in your community by just showing up, by being your true self, which is pretty epic. He has a list of many accomplishments, so I'm going to read these. He's a thriving digital marketer. He has a thriving digital marketing business, an entrepreneur group called the Entrepreneurs, which I love. He's an accomplished educator, presenter, and his most precious achievement to date is living life on his terms, being the father that is home to watch his daughter grow up, the husband who is in true partnership with his wife, and inspiring other men to believe that they can have it all, no matter what your age is, your education, or what society says. Bruce shared with me that it hasn't always been easy and that he's had some real major setbacks along the way, including having such bad gout that he spent a whole month not being able to walk, you know, without being assisted or helped to get from one place to another. He said that this experience had him realizing that if he didn't change the way he lived, he wouldn't be there for his new baby that was on the way. It would destroy his marriage, and eventually it's most likely going to kill him. Wow, that's so much, so cool. Like, I mean, you've achieved so much in such a young life because you are like in the prime, just young. And it's easy for people to watch from the outside thinking, oh wow, he's got something special, he's so successful, and they don't actually realize all of the things that we've had to overcome to be where we are now. So I want to touch on my first question today is I want to touch on your experience of not being able to walk or have to have help for a whole month, having to rely on your pregnant wife to cook, clean, and for her to go to work to provide an income for the home. You said to me that, you know, that moment, that was your hit rock bottom moment. You knew that you had to reset, restart, and regrow your whole mindset in your life. And you know what? Many people, like yourself, don't actually get out of that situation, that they stay stuck in that place, feeling sorry for themselves and thinking, well, this is what my lot in life is. So if somebody was watching us right now and they're listening to our story and they can kind of relate to what you, either health issues or feeling like, crap, I'm letting my family down here, what would you say to them? And what had you saying yes to you? To, you know, what made you go, you know what? This is it. I want to do something different.
Man, thanks for the intro, Kim. Just to keep it short, man, with that question, as you're talking about your question to me, it brought back the time that it actually happened. And man, I was just thinking about it now. I was like, far out, I can't believe I went through that. But in saying that, you know, there's that saying, it takes you going through a setback or a struggle to restart and reset. And there was two options for me. It was either remain the same and just struggle, keep struggling, and watching my wife do all the things that I was meant to do because she was heavily pregnant, or I was going to change. Man, that was one of the most frustrating events in my life. Coming from a person that used to play sports every day to being useless, lying on the couch. Like I couldn't walk. I couldn't, attend to my personal hygiene. So I'm going vulnerable right here because it is what it is, And you think of those things when you hit rock bottom. Like you think of the things that you used to do before, and then you're in this space. You're like, oh man, did I actually take that for granted, or what? And then you don't realize how grateful you are to be able to have the mobility to walk, to do things, because some people they don't get that. They don't get that because they've got a disability, and here I am lying there like, what a waste. Why am I wasting this time? Blah 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 blah. And it was a struggle. I played so much, not only for my physical side of things, but also mentally and emotionally. I could say this is one of the experiences of my life that I will keep sharing because I know a lot of people go through it. And in the Polynesian community, gout is the biggest killer. If you know, you know.
I do, obviously I'm, European, but I'm married to a Samoan, and my children are Pacific, half Pacific Island children. So I see it within our own family community, and it's actually funny we bring that up. And I appreciate that you've been so vulnerable in sharing how you felt, which has allowed me to share with you. Like I've recently just gone through something similar in the aspect. A lot of people don't talk about menopause, and men probably have no idea what I'm talking about watching this, but my health was deteriorating because I wasn't necessarily looking after myself so well because of the symptoms that I was getting. And I can relate to what you were saying in the aspect, the feeling of frustration, because one of the really bad symptoms that I had was that I actually can't use my hands properly at the moment. And to little things like just to catch a ball with my son or to hold something. And I remember I was in the supermarket the other day, and this awesome man, I had a few things in my hands, but it was in my arms. And this man gave me, here's a box if you'd like, ma'am. I love it. I'm old enough now to get the ma'am. Here's a box, ma'am, if you'd like to put your groceries in. And he was so lovely. And as he gave it to me, I couldn't hold the box, and it fell, and all my groceries fell on the floor. And I felt like, I'm so old. Like I felt, and it was because of these things that are happening with menopause. And when I went to the doctor, he said to me, it can be a number of things. He said it could be gout, because gout affects all your joints and being able to move and do something. It could be menopause, which is probably most likely, or it could be rheumatoid arthritis. But it made me really sit and think about having children so late in my life, as an aspect of my oldest is 32, 19, and I have an 8-year-old at home. Do I want to be that parent who just sits there and watches my children play, which I have been doing? I just sit in the chair and watch recently. Or do I want to get my shit together and actually do something about it, because he's got a whole life ahead of him, and I want these hands to be able to play with him. And so thank you for sharing that, because it's not just, so it's all of us that are going through stuff, but we don't share it. And we all need that line in the sand moment to go, you know what, enough is enough. And stop making excuses that you're too busy or you've got this and you can't do anything about it. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, good. And what you're saying, like, it's either you do something about it or you just sit there. But like for me, I think it was the conscious where I was like, I didn't want my daughter to come and to see me that way. And like, it's not fair. Being a new father, preparing to be a father, if I like I picture if she was here, 1 year old, and I was lying there for 4 weeks straight, how boring would that be for her? And man, it's emotional. Like I thought about it, and then I think it was the last week before I started like using the bar stool to get around because I didn't have any crutches. And for those that don't know the feeling, imagine getting an open wound and just scraping it with like a knife. That everyone always asks me, what does it feel like giving gout? I was like, you don't want to know the feeling. But it was bad, but it was myself. Like I was damaging my own body. Even my mental health game like was bad. And because I had the business at the time, I wasn't able to focus mentally, and I just was nothing. Man, I'm just thinking about it now. I'm like, fire out! I can't believe I went through it. But like we said, you go through those setbacks and those struggles to come out as a better person. And everyone will go through it, no matter what situation you're in, or no matter what struggle that you face. There's always the light at the end of that. And fast forward now, it made me go to a freaking, like, it made me pay money to invest in my health, to go and see a specialist to get the right advice. And I'm like, I've been stubborn since I was 20. I've had gout since I was 20. And I only went to see the doctor last year, the specialist last year when I was 27.
You know what? I'm totally not generalizing, but I do see, especially in my own household, sometimes there as men we're a lot stronger within ourselves, so we think she'll be right. I'll just keep moving through this. It'll be fine. I don't need help. I don't need to go and see somebody else. And so I think you're just sharing a really important message there that we do need help sometimes, that we do need to reach out to people who know more than we do to help us get back on the path that we want to live our optimum life. And that there's no shame in that. There's no shame in saying, you know what, I made some bad choices, but I'm brave enough to make a new choice now. And I'm powerful enough in my own spirit to be able to create anything I want. And if my pure health is that one thing, then man, I deserve that. And I need to get off my butt and go and do it because there's people relying on me. Yeah, I know. I've been having that pep talk conversation with myself. Yep, get up, do your A&G, start exercising. So I understand. So you did that. But if I was watching now, yes, you went and got some specialist help. If I was maybe in a position now that maybe I don't have the funds to go and work with somebody one-on-one, was there other things you also looked at or you could potentially recommend to people that they could just start implementing today, like a couple of things today that would actually have some real long-term effects if they were consistent with it?
Did I answer that right? There's always ways. I think for myself, it was the part of spending money. For myself, for my health and that. And I know some people might not have the right, like the funds to go see a specialist or go seek the right help, but there's always help out there. Like, you got doctors. There's a reason why doctors are here on this earth. There's a reason why people or even like speak to someone that has been through what you're going through right now. Like for example, for myself, if you want to reach out, want to talk more about your health in regards to gout and that, because now I'm saving my friends $300 to go see a specialist because I showed them what I've been through. And I can tell you now, I was misinformed on how to treat gout because you can't get rid of gout. There's no cure to it because it's in your blood. And a lot of people say, oh, no, there's a cure. Like, there's no cure. But if you would, like you said, if there is help and if you seek the right advice, the right information, then you'll be fine. And I haven't had gout since that last attack of me staying in bed for 4 weeks.
Wow, that's so epic. And you know what I'm hearing you saying is that we need to get some skin in the game. If we actually get some skin in the game, whether that's money, whether that's going to somebody and saying, I need help, that nothing's changed, nothing will change until we get some skin in the game and make that choice. So I'm sure your wife and your beautiful girl were super excited that you did that, and that they have the fully empowered Bruce there versus the person who didn't really feel that way. One of the other things you shared with me, which I also think is a really important conversation, is that your parents sacrificed so much moving to a foreign country that you feel it's now your turn to give back. And some people might think giving back means giving from a financial point of way. But that's not always the case. And can you share with me today how you are giving back and doing things differently to reshape and guide the future generations of thinking what a man should do and be for his family?
Man, funny thing is, I was talking about this with someone else like a couple of days ago, and because we're talking about our whys and that, and I shared with him. So yes, our parents. So my parents are Samoan. Both of them are Samoan. They come from Western Samoa. Born and raised, grew up there, and then they, moved to New Zealand. And to some parents, it's a foreign country for them. And for them to leave Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, and move over to New Zealand, it's a whole different ballgame. And my parents met in New Zealand. Obviously, the reason of their move was for a better future, and there was more opportunity in New Zealand. They got married, they had me, and growing up, I've seen the hard work that they put in to put food to provide. The struggle that they went through as well, even though it was just me, and then having my two younger siblings. And saying that, like, for me, giving back, it's not only financially, but also for them to say, look, we made the right move to New Zealand, and for my son to be successful, it makes them proud. And I know there's a lot of polys out there that want to give back to the community, but they first must help themselves, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I'm always forever grateful for my parents, for meeting here or meeting there in New Zealand, and starting a family, because it takes, like, it's not just me, it's every parent that has moved from the islands to New Zealand and Australia. They had to come out of their comfort, and that's a perfect example of coming out of your comfort zone, because they left everything behind, like their parents, and they'll come to a foreign country to work, better opportunity to send money back home or support their families at home, have a family. And yeah, well, what was one thing I spoke about? It was, how our parents, they got any job that was offered to them, like a housing job, farming job, what other jobs, and it was hard labor. And for me personally, if I had to repeat that same thing, like right now, it would be a slap in their face for them. If that makes any sense.
No, it does.
Because they brought us here to a land of opportunity, like a country of opportunity, and for us to go back and to repeat what they did when they just got here, I just feel like, it was a waste of their time coming to a foreign country, and for us to go back and repeat the same cycle that they went through, and then have our own family, and then get them to do the same thing.
So what I'm hearing you saying then is, what your message you're trying to get across is that, and I've seen it in many families as well, even in my family, where mum and dad worked really, really hard. They didn't have to go through what your family had to. Absolutely, coming to a new country and learning a new language and all of the things is just mind-boggling, and I can't even begin to say I understand what that's like, because I haven't been through it. But what you're saying, what I think I hear you saying in your message to people is, be more, do more. Show up. You don't just settle for what you're doing because your family did so much more. It's your duty. It's the gift they've given to you that you can be more and do more and than what they had when they got here, I suppose. Would that be right? That's the message that you're trying to...
That is definitely the message.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm hearing that. If, when we think about in many cultures, there's a huge amount of pressure to get a good education, to get the good job, the one that's considered, reputable, the right type of job. But you made a decision to do your journey different. What advice would you give to other Pacific men who are wanting to do something different than the norm that's considered tradition within their family, that this is the roles that you should take because these are the ones that are going to, like we just said, be more, do more, but what they've only been taught by their families and their families is the right job? What would you say to them who are afraid right now of what their family's going to think because you're already out there doing that right now?
Yep. So getting back to breaking that barrier or breaking that cycle, especially being Polynesian, being different, sometimes you lose family, you lose friends because you're doing something totally different to what they were brought up to do. And also it's those that surround you, but for me, it was hard at first because I was worried about what other people would say about me.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
But it takes balls to step away from that crowd and be on your own and be a lone wolf and go and chase whatever that you think will be right for you and your family and your future. Because I've seen it happen like with my cousins and my family and my close friends that they want to build something to be successful, but they don't want to be talked down upon from their family, or they don't want them to talk about them saying, oh, look, they're going to fail. And then some of them just get drawn back to that same circle of people who will do the same thing for the next 5 to 10 years. And those are the people I'm talking about that come when it comes January 1st, New Year's resolution. But they can't talk, they can't walk the talk, It's because you're surrounded, because I used to be like that, If I see someone moving, like, for example, rugby, if I see someone go do extras, because I'm a lazy trainer, I'll be like, oh, what's the purpose of that guy training? And then we'll just all play touch while he goes and does extras. But then what happens now he's playing in the NRL and we're just sitting on the couch spectating from home. But it goes back to your mindset, and how willing you are to build something better for your family and for yourself. And it's hard. It's not easy because sometimes you've got to sacrifice.
And I think the key point is finding your people. Finding people who are going in the direction that you want to go. So finding a community of people who are actually going to celebrate you and hold you through those times that you fail, when maybe our family or our friends can't do that for us. And I want to kind of highlight, because it was a lesson I took a long time to learn. But once I learned it, it just gave me so much peace in my heart, was the people who say or poo-hoo your dreams, or say, no, you can't do that, or you can't do this, or many other awful things, or just that they make you feel scared to tell them. They love you. They're not out to hurt you. They are dealing with, their response is to protect you, because that's all they know, and they don't know any different, and they don't know what the possibility is. And they're not in your head. They don't have your vision, because they're them. And if we think about it from that aspect, that those people really are just trying to protect us, and that we wish them well, but surround ourselves with the right people who are going to support us and get us and help us get to where we want to go, then it doesn't mean we don't need to be with those people. We just need to accept that that's their choice and this is ours, and it's okay for us not to agree. But I'm still going to do what I damn well want to do because I know that that's my purpose. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And a lot of them tend to like use the play it safe card instead of taking risks. Some people are scared of failure, you know. Like for example, my parents, they don't want to see me fail in whatever avenue that I take. So they'd rather have me not take the risk and just play it safe. But
I can understand that as a parent. You know what? We quite often, and as your baby's only 1 right now, as you get older and they start making some decisions for themselves, you do like that. You just want to. I don't want you to go anywhere. I want to keep you safe. I'm done with the big bad world, and we quite often will project our own fears and our own realities that's happened to us onto our children when they're not us. And it's a really hard thing. I mean, they don't come with a manual. It doesn't come with I had this conversation the other day when my son turned 18. He's 19 now. When he turned 18, and obviously the world is opening up to a different space. I honestly said to him, I'm struggling. I said, you are given this child and you are told to protect them, to do everything in your power to keep them safe, to love them and to teach them and guide them the best way you can. And then you turn 18 and I'm meant to go, bye, see you later, have fun. And you don't know how to turn that switch off. And it's a process that we then have to learn how to let them go and trust that all the work and support we have instilled in them gives them enough strength and inner strength to make the right decisions in life. For them. But it's hard as a parent, and when yours gets older, you'll understand. I was like, I don't want to let go. But yeah. Look, I have one final question that I ask all of my guests on Coffee Chats with Impact. And the question is, if you had to pick a song or a book or an activity that helps you be resilient and empowers when you're right in the middle of a challenge so that you can switch that feeling and be able to step back into yourself, what would that be?
So 2 things. I have a song that I go to. It's by a group in New Zealand. It's called Swit It. They're a hip hop group from Onehunga.
Nice. I'm going to have to listen to that one.
So the title of that song is called Conquer.
I'm going to write that down.
It's very empowering for Polynesian people or anyone in general. But there's a, what's the hell does the lyrics go? It's like, I always put myself in that song and be like, okay, because I'm Polynesian, they only wanted me for my size and my strength, but now we're about to do something, so we're going to conquer in this field.
Yes.
So like for me, it's conquering the business world now. So I'm like, oh, that's sweet. So that's my go-to song. If you listen to it, man, it talks about, how we only wanted because we're good rugby players or because we can play sports, but then if we're not that, we're just, normal factory workers, whatever, securities, whatever and that. But we're here to conquer. And we have so much to give, like, because especially our personalities were just easygoing and chilled.
I love you. You're awesome. You're so true. And you know what? I use music. I absolutely adore music. I mean, but you know what? If music's not your thing, there are so many free resources out there that you can go on YouTube, you can Google mindset work, there is so much out there that when you are smack in the middle of something and you're really struggling, then go and look, because there's so much out there, and then you will find what your thing is. Music's for me, I'm just, I turn it on, I have a boogie, and then all of a sudden I you're way better. So I'm definitely going to look that up, because it's the lyrics and the words in music that give me power, and the words you just described could be for anybody. Okay, I'm not size in rugby, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's for anybody. And like, a song does change things, Like, we have a DJ, Manji, and he's awesome.
Oh, I know, I love his one. And his TikTok dancing. He just uses dancing to inspire the world as well. Look, you know what? I believe inside each and every one of us, we have what I like to call the resilience factor.
Yep.
That I think all we need to do is tap into it and harness it so that we may ignite our desire to be hungry to live the life we deserve. So that's our episode of Coffee Chats with Impact. I'm so grateful that you were on with us today. I really appreciate your vulnerability, and I know that it's going to help many other people, just like yourself, maybe say yes to themselves. Yeah. So I will look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Coffee Chats with Impact. Take care. Thanks, bro.